Hey, okay, hopefully we're good now. Y'all let me know that you can hear me and see me good if you can. Perfect. There we go. Awesome. All right. I apologize for all of that. This stuff is a never ending learning, uh, and they're always changing stuff. But yes, we should be good now. There's one other thing I was going to say. I can't remember now. Oh, I know what it is. Turn the ads off for y'all. Hey, Rosemary, how are you? So yeah, back to what I was trying to say earlier in the beginning. Good news. Timothy Vest Benton is back in jail. For those of you that are not familiar with this story, I'll give you a quick rundown, quick synopsis of what all is going on. So, what in the world? Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm good. I thought the same thing had happened again. All right. We're good. If you've been following the case or following me for a long time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, again, I'll give you a quick synopsis, and it's going to make your blood boil. It definitely made mine. In fact, and if any of you were on then, I'm sure you remember, and let me know if you were on that night. Now, this has been quite a while ago, but I remember being on a live later at night when I learned about this whole thing with Timothy Vest Benton and Judge Samuel Junkin in Fayette County, Alabama. And the ones that were on will tell you it is the angriest I've ever been on a live. And I know some of you are saying, I've seen you a couple of times. How could you have been more angry than those times? I'm telling you, that night, it was because it was one of the craziest things I'd ever seen. I literally could not believe it was happening. So his name is Timothy Vest Benton. And as I said earlier this week, I think Monday, the Fayette County Sheriff's Office in Alabama took him back into custody. Now, I'll walk you through how we got here because once you hear the timeline, again, you're going to be as fired up as I am. So back in 2017, a grand jury indicted him on 48 charges. 48. Everything from human trafficking to sodomy. This POS was going and just, he had no business at a local school. But he was going and hanging out at this school during the day. And the excuse I've gotten from some people related to that school was he was a star baseball player when he went to high school there. And so he could just come back and hang out during the day. And he was allegedly helping with baseball some. He had no business being there. That's a huge problem. And to this date that I know of, that I'm aware of, not one person has been disciplined in any way whatsoever from that school or that school system. So he would go and hang out at this school during the day and pull little boys, very young boys, into the bathroom and do what he wanted to with them. There are over 10 different victims. He was indicted for 48 charges. And that was in 2017. In 2019, he takes a plea deal. 17 years for 2 counts of sodomy against children between the ages of 12 and 16. So from 48 down to 2. That's the second issue with this. And we can thank Alabama's 24th Judicial Circuit District Attorney Andy Hamlin for that. To let this sicko plea down to only 2 charges. So 17 years. But he didn't serve 17 years. He served 5. After 5 years, and this is the part, I learned all this during a live one night, like the week that he was released from prison. A circuit court judge, Samuel Junkin, modified his sentence with literally no explanation at all. In fact, once we dug into records on this, there was nothing filed previously to his release. Nothing. Out of nowhere, the judge puts this release in the records. Nothing had been filed before that. Now, Judge Junkin later put out what I'll call an excuse letter, expecting us to believe that he had not spoken to the defendant's family at all, because that's illegal. And we know he didn't speak with any of the victims' families, because all of them, most of them, if not all, were talking to me. And they had no clue. They didn't find out he was released out of prison and at home until he was already there. So Judge Junkin legit expects us to believe he was just sitting around one day and thought, you know what? I need to let him out of prison and on house arrest, just for the hell of it. That's literally what he expects us to believe. There's not one person that believes that. That's being honest anyway. And so he released him and is allowing him to finish out the rest of his sentence on house arrest. And get this. This keeps on getting worse and worse. While he's supposedly serving a sentence for these horrible crimes against children, he was allowed to travel. Guess where he was allowed to travel to and from whenever? As part of his house arrest, as part of his release conditions. To his family's beach house in Gulf Shores, Alabama. You can't make this up. Part of the order was allowed him to travel anytime he wanted to from his family's home in Fayette County, Alabama, to their beach house in Gulf Shores, Alabama, which is over 5 hours away. So he's allegedly on house arrest, but he's traveling up and down the entire state of Alabama whenever he wants. Yeah, the judge, as I put it, the judge put makeup on this to make it look like house arrest. It wasn't house arrest. He just let him out. So, oh my God, is it freezing again? What in the world? I swear, the more money I put into my computer, the slower it gets. In all seriousness, if any of y'all are computer experts, like for desktop PCs and know all the, I mean, there's a lot of people that know all that stuff. Please contact me. I could use your help. Because obviously I'm not doing something right. So it looks like it's unfrozen now. So as soon as he is out, he is arrested. One, because we started raising hell. We even conducted a protest on the lawn of the courthouse. And again, something you can't make up. We scheduled this protest on a Friday in front of the courthouse in Fayette County. We get there, and none other than Judge Junkin had shut the entire courthouse down that day. So nobody was there. So that really pissed me off. And so I had some people really digging. Guess where Judge Junkin, you can't make this up. Guess where he was that Friday? At the beach. I wish I was making that up. That's where he was. I even had picture confirmation from someone. So, anyway, there's outrage. Well, luckily, he's arrested again immediately for a SORNA violation, failing to follow the S offender registration law. Part of his release was, as soon as he was released, he was supposed to go and get his ID, which states he's a sex offender, and give him his updated address and all that stuff. He didn't go do it. So he's arrested. Back to being on live. That night, he was arrested because this was all I'd been talking about for over a week. We're on a live, and one of the victim's family members texts me. It was like, he's back in jail. And so we were so happy. Like, we were so excited. Like, we were pretty much having a party on the live. Before I even finished the live that night, he had bonded out. Yes, he had bonded straight out. Again, I could not believe that was happening. And so we kept pulling up the jail website where it was showing him, and now it's showing him as released on bond. I was like, this can't be right. I thought their computer system was messed up, or I think one thing I was thinking that I said was they were, for safety reasons, they were putting out that he wasn't no longer in there. I was like, that's got to be what it is. Nope. He was back at home. Then, and all this time, I'm on here nonstop, and I'm calling a sitting circuit court judge corrupt, all out corrupt. I'm like, I don't care. There's no way he's not. He has been bribed. I mean, I was saying it all. And I mean, I remember my attorney was texting me every 5 minutes saying, shut up. So I was like, I don't care. That's how mad I was. I was like, no, he's fucking corrupt. There's no way around it. All that pressure. And with now, because what was going on, the judge thought he could do all this and it slide completely under the radar. Legit, that's what he thought. Well, that didn't happen. So the next day, he recused himself from the case altogether. The DA, Andy Hamlin, recused himself altogether. So these two that's had the biggest part in all this and got all this mess started, now they're like, oh, no, I don't have any part in it. I'm out. So the case is then, the hearing is then sent down here to Tuscaloosa to a judge. And that judge was like, I don't want any part of this. And I get that at this point. So he said, let grand jury, just send this to grand jury. Well, and I know this judge. I've been in front of him more times than I could count. I respect him. He's not a bad judge at all. And again, I'm just speculating. I don't know why he sent it to grand jury, but I'm guessing that's what it was. He's like, I don't want any part of this. And I doubt he realized that grand jury was almost a year away, because larger counties like Tuscaloosa, we have grand jury once a month. Some of these smaller counties only have grand jury once or twice a year. So, anyway, he's been out this whole time. Well, their grand jury finally met, and he was indicted this week. So he was indicted on that charge. So I find that out. Again, I'm talking to one of the victim's family members. And I was like, we don't have to worry about it now. Like he's going back to jail. He's going back to prison. Then I pull it up. He has got a bond right now. He has a bond right now. After all of this, he still has a bond. Sorry, these random messages keep popping up. Oh. Sentenced to 17 years when he should have been sentenced to a lot longer. Out in 5, let out of prison with no explanation at all, allowed to vacation at his beach house, arrested the second he's free, bonds out, now indicted by a grand jury, and still has a fucking bond. Excuse my language, but I literally still can't believe any of this is going on. So it's $1 million bond, which I understand is high. He shouldn't have a bond. He should be back in prison. This POS is never going to change. We know that. That's been proven time and time again. There's no rehabilitation. There's none. It doesn't exist. If you're a child predator, you're a child predator for the rest of your life. We know that. And we know if they are given any chance whatsoever to reoffend, they will reoffend. But for some reason, they continue trying to keep this guy out of prison. I can't explain it at all. And so far, I've not been able to find one person that could explain it. And I've asked a lot of people. I'm not going to say who, obviously, but I've asked people that would know. Well, honestly, they said the same thing I have. That there's no way there's not corruption involved here. Fayette County is a small county, and Fayette is a small town. Pretty much every one of his victims and their families live in this small town. And somebody asked the question a while ago, aren't the victims supposed to be notified? Yes, per Alabama law, they are supposed to be, and they were not. And I'm telling you why they weren't. Because the judge made sure of it. Because he wanted this to just fly under the radar and hope nobody realized it. Well, and one of the victim's family members is who learned this and started losing their mind and putting it out, contacted me, and they're the ones that deserve the credit for getting that out and all the pressure we put. And because I'm telling y'all, and that was one of the first times I saw, because I'd only been podcasting for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months at the most at that time. And that was the first time I saw, holy shit, we can really make a difference here. If we scream loud enough, people will listen. And I realized if you put enough pressure on people, things will change. And that was the first time. There's so much that I've learned about Judge Junkin since then. And DA and Andy Hamlin. Another thing about Judge Junkin, when I first started calling him out and calling this for what it is, he had contacted people that he knew me well, that apparently he knew. Quite a few. And all these people were calling me, man, Judge Junkin's a good guy. I understand, and this looks a little messed up, but he's a good guy. He's just a really good guy. And I just wanted to tell you that. Yeah, you were just sitting around by yourself and you thought, you know what? I don't like to see Judge Junkin called out like this. I'm going to call him and see if I can talk some sense into him. That's not what happened. I know Judge Junkin had them contact me. Well, I think you all could guess about how good that went. And I told them all. Some of them are decently close friends of mine. I said, with all due respect, you're not talking me out of this. And if you even thought that you could talk me out of this, you don't know me. Which every single one of them then said, no, I didn't figure I could. But I just told them, I don't want to hear about this. Like, do not contact me again talking about him. Like, legit. And they didn't. Now, later on another case that Judge Junkin was involved in, And DA Andy Hamlin, when I started calling him out, he did the same thing. He contacted some people that he knew me well. Again, some people I have a lot of respect for, trying to, man, and no, you got this wrong. Andy's not a bad guy. You got this wrong. He's a good guy. No, he's not, because I saw it with my own eyes. So as I'm digging into Judge Junkin, and at the time when this came up, I didn't give Andy Hamlin. I didn't call him out. I should have, looking back on it, but I knew of him. I'd met him a couple times, and again, he's friends with some people that I have a lot of respect for, and I'd always heard good things about him. I'd never heard anything bad about him, and so I was giving him the benefit of the doubt on the Timothy Vest Benton thing. Then a little later comes Marquise. Why can I not think of his last name? Hold on. Marquise, if you or your family are watching, I apologize. I've not forgotten about you. I just, for some reason, mine went blank on your last name. Is anybody on that knows who I'm talking about? I don't know why freaking mine went blank. I did tons of podcasts on him. Marquise Gunner. Sorry, Marquise. Marquise Gunner, which is a case out of Lamar County, Alabama. So, and for those of you that don't know, especially the ones that's not from Alabama, we have judicial circuits in Alabama. And so for large counties, such as, all right, Tuscaloosa County has 4 or 5 circuit court judges just for our county. It's very large. The 24th Judicial Circuit, which is Fayette County, Lamar County, and Pickens County. I think it's it. I think it's those 3 counties. They have 1 circuit court judge and 1 district attorney that covers those 3 counties. So they travel, the judge and the DA goes from county to county working cases just because they're so small. So Judge Junkin and Andy Hamlin work Lamar County, Fayette County, and Pickens County. So this case out of Lamar County with Marquise Gunner, Marquise was a 18 or 19-year-old kid, and he lived with his mother, who was admittedly an addict with a lot of issues, but she always kept him housed. They always had an apartment and things like that. But Marquise pretty much had to raise himself. And again, this is not dissing his mother. This is her own words. He had to raise himself pretty much, and he did a damn good job. Straight A student in school. I've spoken to a bunch of his prior teachers. Straight A student at school, good athlete, had never, ever been in trouble, never even been in trouble at school. Talked to one of his previous principals. He had never been in any trouble at school. Good kid. Everyone that knew Marquise or that knows Marquise would tell you he's a good kid. Very mature because he had to grow up early. He was living with his mother, and he comes home one day and Doesn't he forgets to lock the front door behind him. His mother had a boyfriend that would come and go, and she beat his mom all the time. He abused her all the time very badly. And Marquise could never hardly keep up with when they were on good terms and when they weren't. But there was at least one time it got so bad where 911 was called, and Marquise and his mother had to jump out of a back window of their apartment to get away from this man because he was coming after them. So fast forward to this day, Marquise comes home, doesn't think about it, doesn't realize that ex-boyfriend is really pissed at mom right now. He walks in his bedroom. Well, about 5 minutes after he walks in his bedroom, he hears this big commotion. Here's his mom screaming, and he's like, what is going on? So he walks out into the hallway out of his bedroom, again, very small apartment. He sees mom's boyfriend or ex-boyfriend at that time. They had been separated for a while then, as far as he had not been staying there for, don't quote me, I want to say like 2 or 3 months at least. But he sees him trying to bust in mom's bedroom door. And the door was like open, she's trying to hold the door shut. He's trying to push it in. So Marquise starts yelling at him. He's like, get out of the house. Leave my mom alone. Well, by that time, dude rushes in mom's bedroom, overpowers her, and is on top of her. So Marquise runs in there, and there's a scuffle, and then they end up back in the living room, and the boyfriend is standing in the living room, and Marquise and his mom are standing in the kitchen, and again, this is all one room, and they're standing behind the counter, and he's standing in between them and the front door. And he's yelling all these things, I'm going to take you, whatever. He's screaming all this stuff at him. Well, due to all the other incidents with this man, unbeknownst to mother, Marquise had acquired himself a firearm a while back because he had dealt with it enough. And he knew, because this is a pretty big guy, he knew that he needed protection. Saved up some money because he was working and purchased this firearm from somebody. Well, when he first saw him attacking his mother, he runs in his closet where he had this firearm hidden, and he gets it. So they're standing in the kitchen. Boyfriend standing in the living room in between them and the door, and he starts coming after him again. Marquise pulls the firearm and shoots him. Shoots him in the leg. I believe he just fired the one shot, but maybe it was two. But anyway, he hits him in the leg. Guy falls down. Well, Marquise freaks out now. It's very traumatic for an 18, 19-year-old kid that's never been in trouble before, but he just shot somebody. So he runs out the front door. Someone called 911. I don't remember who. Hell, it may have been Marquise himself. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say it was Marquise himself that called 911. Anyway, he runs out into the woods, throws the firearm into the woods, because, again, he's scared. Ambulance gets there. Police get there. As soon as police pulled up, Marquise was then like, I got to go out and talk to him. So he gets one of the officers' attention, and he's standing at the edge of the woods, hands up in there. He's like, "Hey, I'm right here, and I'm the one that shot him. I don't have the firearm anymore, but whatever." So cop says, "Okay." Comes over there, puts Marquise in handcuffs, that's normal. He just told you shot somebody. But no resistance whatsoever on Marquise's part. He came out to them. They didn't even know he was out there. Boyfriend just suffered the wound to the leg. He survived. He had like a little limp when we went to court. But other than that, Andy Hamlin, the district attorney there, filed charges on Marquise for attempted murder. When he did, even the suspect, and when this went to a hearing, I watched the suspect testify to this. When he found out they arrested Marquise, he even felt bad about it and went to the police and went to the district attorney and said, hey, this was my fault. I was attacking them. Marquise is a good kid. He's never been in trouble. But Andy Hamlin said, nope. Put him in jail on $1 million bond. So I get word of this, what's going on. Marquise is in jail, and some of his family members contact me asking for help, and I look into, and it's one of those, when I first heard it, like from the family members, it was like, there's more to this. You know, I get those all the time. And I'm thinking, nah, that's not how it happened. I guarantee there's more to this. Well, there wasn't. I was able to get my hands on all the reports. There was not more to it. I was even able to get my hands on a lot of the prior domestic violence reports from there, where the dad had beat the mom, or where the stepdad had beat the mom. Or, well, they weren't married, but you know what I'm saying. Again, people start reaching out to me because I started talking about it. Prior teachers of Marquise are reaching out to me. Again, even a prior principal. They're like, this is crazy. Marquise is one of the best kids we ever had. And that's literally what they were saying, like what some of them were saying. He's one of the best students I ever had. I'm calling everybody I know and saying, can you explain this? Like, why have they charged this kid? Even the suspect is saying he didn't do anything wrong. Because what happened, I left this part out. What happened when Marquise forgot to lock the door, ex-boyfriend, who again, he had not stayed there it was 2 or 3 months. It was testified to, but it was a while. He was not living there. He received 0 mail there. It was never his listed address anywhere. He had never lived there. When they were dating, when they were on and off, he would stay there every once in a while, spend the night. Didn't live there. He was hiding out in the woods, waiting for the mom to come out. Well, while he's stalking her, Marquise comes home. He sees Marquise come home and go in the door. So he was just like, hopefully, maybe Marquise didn't lock the door. Well, he didn't. So he goes up to the door, opens it, and that's when he comes in and goes and attacks the mom. So he broke into this house. This is burglary. This is straight up burglary. Breaks in this house, starts beating the mother, then is stopping Marquise or his mother from leaving the house, and he gets shot when he's trying to attack them again. This is felony burglary, hands down. Very serious charge. And Marquise is the one that was sitting in jail on $1 million bond. So again, we started putting as much pressure as possible. And when that was going on, when I picked up that case, me and my team is already investigating Judge Junkin and trying to find everything we can on him, because I'm like, there's no way it's the first time like this guy's corrupt. So I learned he's the judge, obviously. And Marquise sits in that county jail for a year. Here's another thing. Marquise had previously dropped out of high school because he had to go to work. They had no money. Mom wouldn't work. She was using drugs. So he drops out, I think, in the 11th grade or maybe a senior year. I can't remember. And he's working. Well, all Marquise wanted to do was join the Army. He told everybody that. It's like, I want to join the Army. He wanted to get out of there because he knew there's nothing for me here. He had met with a recruiter. The recruiter said, you're good to go, but you have to get your GED. So Marquise enrolled in GED classes and was almost finished with his GED. And as soon as he got finished with that GED, he was joining the Army and getting out of there. He was almost finished with his GED when this happened. So he was working and studying for his GED. Then he spends a year in the county jail in Lamar County, it's a third world country in that jail. It's a horrible facility. I mean, it's nasty. It's horrible. He keeps up good spirits the whole time he's in there. Finally, a bond reduction hearing comes around a year later. I'm there. Some other creators from around Munchies and Murder was there. Amber Sitton was there with True Crime, Secrets True Crime Podcast. So we're all there in the hearing. I don't even know how to describe this hearing and give it any justice. Mom gets up and testifies. Yeah, we were getting attacked. Marquise never been in trouble before. Blah, blah, blah. Marquise's girlfriend gets up and testifies. She's like, I mean, he's great. I mean, amazing, whatever. Ex-boyfriend gets up and testifies in front of Judge Junkin and DA Andy Hamlin. And again, we all heard this. And he says what I told y'all he said. On stand testifying under oath. Marquise is a good kid. He did nothing wrong that day. That was all me. He says all this. The whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank God this is over, because they're going to lower his bond, and then, no jury in the world's ever going to convict him. Like, that's not going to happen. And I'm sitting there, I'm so relaxed, I'm getting excited. Well, before I get to this, that day is when I saw who Andy Hamlin really is. Again, I knew the case. I had the whole case file. I knew it like the back of my hand, which is the exact same case file Andy Hamlin has. And as he's questioning these witnesses, he's talking down to every one of them, number one. That was pissing me off. When an ex-boyfriend is up on stand telling what he was saying, Andy Hamlin looked at him on stand and said, "It's not up to you who we charge. We're the ones in charge of that. You don't make that decision." That's what he told him. The guy that got shot. It doesn't matter what you think. Again, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not putting words in his mouth. He said a lot more than this stuff. And the whole time, Andy Hamlin keeps saying that Marquise used a stolen firearm in that crime, that the firearm was stolen. And it's running through my mind now. Something like, I saw nothing about a stolen firearm in the report, like in any of the case file. So the whole time I'm like, where's he getting this from? Why does he keep saying this? He says it 100 times, at least, during this hearing. Screaming it. He's a horrible person. He didn't say that, but this is what he was doing. Painting Marquise as this horrible, just punk, troublemaker. He went and stole a firearm just to shoot him. That was his story. And again, where's he getting the stolen firearm from? So, fast forward to the end of the hearing. I'm all relaxed. I'm excited. Like I'm thinking about, I'm going to walk outside, talk to Marquise's family. I'm even going to go, like I'm staying up here. If they're able to bond him out today, with the time pending, if he's able to bond out today, I'm going with them. I want to meet Marquise. Hearing's over. As soon as testimony ended, like we're not even talking about 5 seconds after testimony ended, Judge Junkin said, bond reduction denied. Literally he put no thought into it, which shows there was no intention of him lowering that bond. He was not going to, no matter what. The hearing was worthless. As soon as he said that, this is where my maturity kicks in at times, when I know I'm not going to be able to hold this in. Like this is bad, because this is as mad as I could possibly be, and I'm about to lose my temper. So I immediately got up and exited the courthouse. I couldn't even make it out of the courthouse, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I'm just being honest with you. I made it out of the courtroom, but I couldn't even make it out of the courthouse before I started yelling, cussing. Bad stuff, too. It was like, that motherfucking corrupt judge or whatever. Deputies are just looking at me like, what's going on? Luckily, I made it out without getting arrested. I go straight to my truck, and I sit there. I'm shaking. I'm mad. I could not believe it, because I knew then. I was like, this is unbelievable. It's still to this day, it's unbelievable. So my first thought is, I'm getting on the phone, and I'm finding out, like, how did I not know this firearm was stolen? You know why I didn't know that? Anybody guess? It wasn't stolen. I'm not making this up. The district attorney said it at least 100 times. And again, there's other Munchies and Murder was there. Amber Sitton was there. They will all tell you the same thing. Said it over 100 times at least. This stolen firearm. He wouldn't stole this firearm. The firearm was not stolen. To this day, that firearm has never been reported stolen. Never. Not stolen. Andy Hamlin literally made that shit up and was yelling it in court. He is still a sitting district attorney. Andy Hamlin told so many lies during that hearing. What's the old saying? If he was on fire on the side of the road, I wouldn't even stop to piss on him. That's how I feel about Andy Hamlin. Even since then, people have tried to convince me, no, you got it wrong. He's a good guy. He wouldn't have done that. I watched it. I heard it with my own ears. He told so many lies during that hearing. It's ridiculous. Blatant lies. I had never seen that before. And I've been in court more times than I could ever count. I've testified in court more times than I have never seen anything like that. So I'm losing my mind. I make this long post on Facebook. Right after I had not driven off yet. I was sitting in my truck again. I'm mad. I'm calling people, and I make this long post on Facebook. If you go back and look far enough, it's on there. I don't remember what all I said. I'm still sitting in the parking lot when I post that. Before I leave the parking lot, Andy Hamlin himself had commented on my post. What that shows us is, what was Andy Hamlin worrying about when that hearing was over? You don't think he saw me very pissed off leaving? He knew he's about to go post some shit. I need to see what he posts. He was still standing outside the courthouse getting on Facebook to see what I posted. And then, being a dumbass, he commented on it, and he got tore up. People, there was so many people that went after him. That was a dumb thing for him to do. I don't even remember what he said. He was trying to make an excuse for himself. But that was wrong on so many levels. There was a lot of people that hold some pretty high positions around places texting me going, I have never seen a sitting district attorney make a comment on a Facebook post like that. Like, what the hell is wrong with him? It was so unprofessional. And again, there was a lot of people that couldn't believe that. He did, I think the next day, I don't think he deleted it that day. Could be wrong. But within the next 2 days, he deleted his comments. But I have pictures of them. I'll pull them up at some point. I've got all that. So that evening, again, this is where Andy Hamlin starts calling people that he knows me well. hoping they will calm me down and talk me out of making more, calling him out more. And so they start messaging me like, man, oh, you got this wrong, blah, blah, blah. I told them the same thing that I told people when they were contacting me about Judge Junkin. If this is what you're going to talk to me about, don't contact me. Like, I do not want to hear you mention his name again. He is a complete piece of shit. I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it with my own ears. And he completely lied on that poor kid. And one of them has been he still is, but he's a mentor of mine. And he's like, there's no way he did that. Like, you're missing something. Like, the firearm had to be stolen. The firearm's not stolen. We double, tripled, made sure of that. It's not. So Andy Hamlin's argument throughout that entire hearing was, if we let him, and he was literally saying this stuff, if we let him out, he's going to take someone's life. He is a danger to society. I'm not making it like he was saying this stuff. He is a danger to society. We cannot let him out of jail. We cannot lower his bond. People will lose their lives if we do. He was saying this stuff. Proof that he didn't believe any of that. One of Marquis' very close family members contacts me the next day and says they've gone to Marquis in jail and made him an offer. So what kind of offer? They said if he'll plead guilty to a felony, they'll release him with time served. I told them, do not let him plead to a felony. Marquis did nothing. There's no jury anywhere. There's no jury in this entire country that would convict him. And I begged them. And so they're like, all right, let me talk to him. I said, if they will let me have a visitation with him, which they wouldn't at that time. And I was trying to find an attorney that would go talk to him, because he had an attorney, but his attorney was it was horrible. He hired, and this is not on his family. They didn't understand. They didn't realize how that corrupt stuff was going on. But they hired an attorney out of Fayette, which is where Judge Junkin lives. His attorney was horrible. During the hearing, he made a couple of decent arguments, but he never once objected when Andy Hamlin was talking about the stolen firearm. Never once. Because when that was going on, I was like, what is his attorney doing? Why is he not objecting to this? He never once did. Well, the way, if you don't know, an attorney can't go to a client. The client has to contact the attorney. So, and Marquis already had this attorney, so none of the attorneys I knew could just go up there and talk to Marquis. We were trying to make it happen, but before we could, Marquis accepted the deal. And I don't blame Marquis. He'd been sitting in that horrible jail for over a year, and he just wanted out of jail at that point. I get that. He'd sat there and heard all those lies about him. So I'm sure, and Marquis said, he's like, I'm never getting out of here. And so I get that. I'm not judging Marquis on making that decision. But he accepted the deal. The next day, pled guilty to a felony, and they let him walk right out of the jail. As dangerous as he was. For a district attorney to say the things he was saying about Marquis 2 days prior, about how dangerous he was. Again, He didn't believe any of that, or he wouldn't have immediately ran to the Lamar County Jail offering him this plea deal. What happened is they knew this is not going away. We've tripled down, and we've got to get out of this somehow. This is a young kid. He just wants out of jail. He'll probably do anything to get out of jail. Let's go see if we can get him plead guilty to a felony, and then we can wash our hands of this. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. So, thankfully, I mean, today Marquise is out of jail. He doesn't want anything to do with the spotlight or anything, and I get that. He just wanted all that, all this to be over. One of the main reasons that I was so against him pleading guilty to a felony is I knew the Army would not let him join with that kind of charge, with that kind of conviction. And again, I can't even tell you all the people I talked to that was involved in this. But I knew Marquise was doing everything he could to just join the Army and get out. And I knew if he accepted that he wouldn't get to. And, I mean, that's what happened. So that killed that. And Andy Hamlin, they knew that he was trying to join, because all the people that were testifying talked about that too. He was trying to join the Army. Andy Hamlin knew that, and Andy Hamlin also knew, Judge Junkin also knew if he pled guilty to a felony, he wouldn't get to do that. They were not going to let this kid out. They were not. And they did everything they could and made sure he didn't. He's not in that town. Last I checked anyway. He's doing great. He's not there. He did get out, move out a little bit to another area just to get out of there. But you talk about injustice. And that was the worst I'd ever seen. Still to this day. Probably ever will be. It was unbelievable. Still is, to think about it. I haven't talked about that in a couple months now, and just talking about it again just pisses me off all over again and upsets me again. It was just, God, it was unbelievable that could still happen in today's time. What's even more troubling and concerning is after that, I was really on fire for them too. And I was like, if we dig enough, we're going to be able to find something. Because both of them are crooked. Both of them are highly corrupt. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Which tells me this is not the first time they've done something bad like this. So we started really digging. And boy, did we find a very troubling pattern. Very troubling pattern with Judge Samuel Junkin. I probably don't even have to tell you, Timothy Best Benton looks a lot like Judge Junkin and Andy Hamlin. Same skin color. And I probably don't have to tell you that Marquise does not. Well, and this is not an allegation I throw around lightly because it's way overused. People call everybody racist now, and I don't like that. It undermines people that are really dealing with racism. That's exactly what this is, though. The amount of people that have been in front of Judge Junkin and sentenced, you can guess the skin color of all the ones that got off light and all the ones that didn't. It's a full all-out pattern. In fact, we dug up another similar case to Marquise's case that had occurred a few years before that in Pickens County, where a combat veteran was traveling through Alabama, coming from somewhere out west and going to, I don't know, I think Florida, maybe. I don't remember. They're traveling through. Gets pulled over in Pickens County with green leafy substance. Very serious crime. Do y'all know how long that man sat in Pickens County jail on that charge with no bond? Green leafy substance, keep in mind. He sat in the county jail without ever getting a court date for 5 years. 5 years. I'm not making that up. Was finally released with time served. 5 years for the green leafy substance. And again, he didn't look like Judge Junkin and Andy Hamlin, which were the two on his case. Andy Hamlin was the DA. Junkin was the judge. And again, we dug there's story after story after story with Judge Junkin. Judge Junkin is racist. I can prove that. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. We found the pattern, and with the Timothy Best Benton mess, just proves that even more. I would bet everything I've ever owned in my life that if Timothy Best Benton wasn't white, there's no way in hell he would have gotten out of prison. And there's no way he would have been offered the deal that Timothy Best Benton was offered. No way. Because, again, we've dug through tons of other offers that these two have offered other people. And it stands out. That's going on right now in Alabama in 2026. Right now. There is zero checks and balances on Judge Junkin and Andy Hamlin, obviously. And now, what I'm about to say is speculation. So I'm saying this is pure speculation on my part. I'm not saying this is fact. Pure speculation. I'm not saying this is happening, but I'll say I would not be surprised if Judge Junkin and Timothy Best Benton himself don't have a little relationship going on. I don't know. I'm not saying that's happening. Just saying it wouldn't surprise me. And same thing that other people have speculated. I don't know what the Benton family has on Judge Junkin. I don't know if they've got something on him and are blackmailing him that way or if they paid him. But one of those two things happened. And the fact that Judge Junkin has full reign, nobody cares that he did that, blows my mind. Blows my mind. Because again, I have yet to find one person and quite a few of those people have done the same job that Judge Junkin has that can give me any type of reasonable explanation as to why that happened. None. Nobody understands it. Let me see if I can find his excuse letter. It may be on my other drive. Hopefully it's still in here, though. Oh, I think this is it. Let me find the first page. I've got it written under, I've got it labeled, and I'm like, I think this is it. Yes, this is it. Okay. Let me pull this up. It's been a while since I read this, so we'll read Junkin's excuse, BS excuse letter here. Crop this down so I can see it better. Oh, this will take way too long. Here we go. So this is his recusal when he recused himself from the case. On June the 25th, 2025, I entered an order transferring Vess Benton into the Community Corrections Program for the 24th Judicial Circuit. The law grants me complete discretion on placement of eligible defendants into the Community Corrections Program, and this decision was made solely by me without the input or approval of the victims' families, the defendant's family, or the district attorney. So again, this is him saying, I just one day out of the blue decided, you know what? I need to let him out of prison and put him on house arrest. Again, Judge Duncan, nobody believes that lie. You're lying right here. Because there is no doubt in my mind that you had not had contact with the defendant's family. No doubt in my mind. Since the entry of the order, there has been significant public frustration regarding my decision and the lack of explanation. I understand that frustration, and I will attempt to provide context here. In other words, I'm going to try to spew a bunch of lies and hope some of you buy it. Now for the excuses. Poor Timothy Vess Benton. Keep in mind his crimes and what he did. Keep in mind. On May the 19th, 2016, Mr. Benton was involved in an automobile accident that resulted in traumatic brain injury, TBI, that left him with severe cognitive impairments. Approximately 1 year later, he committed acts that eventually resulted in his conviction of 2 counts of sodomy in the second degree. On November 27, 2019, Mr. Benton entered a guilty plea and was sentenced to 17 years in the custody of the Alabama Department of Corrections. This was an agreement reached between the district attorney and Mr. Benton, and it resulted in the dismissal of the remaining charges. So if you're not following along here, apparently, if you have a TBI, which I myself have one, it causes you to want to go and do horrible things to little boys. Can you believe that a judge put that in an official court document? He was involved in an automobile accident that resulted in a TBI, and approximately 1 year later, he committed acts that eventually resulted in his conviction. I mean, that TBI, that's what it'll make you do. I forgot how bad this is. I probably shouldn't even read it again. It's just going to piss me off even more. I forgot how bad this bullshit is. So, if any of you have a TBI or have family members, watch out. This is unbelievable. The Alabama Department of Corrections is responsible for the health and safety of all inmates in its custody. It is well documented that the Department of Corrections faces great challenges in trying to provide for the health and safety of its inmates, especially inmates with significant mental and psychological impairments. Before entering the custody of the Department of Corrections, the defendant provided the necessary medical documentation to put the department on notice of the potential complications of his incarceration and allow the department time to prepare for his placement. Despite being given this information, in the 5+ years that Mr. Benton has been in the Department of Corrections, providing for his health and safety has proven to not only be challenging, but oftentimes impossible. Well, don't y'all hate that? I mean, Vess Benton is who we should be feeling sorry for here, right? He's the victim, right? Not his victims. They're fine. You know, it's not like those things stay with them for the rest of their lives. God knows what mental issues it causes them. They're fine. But him, man, I mean, we got to worry about him. It's very sad. I've talked to people that have information on what was going on in prison with Timothy Vest Benton. Unfortunately for him, shocking, I know this is going to be shocking to some of you. Even real convicts don't like child predators. That's what was happening to him in prison. You know what? Prison's not a fun place. A lot of bad things happen in prison. There are a lot of people in prison that I feel sorry for, legit. Child predators are not any of those. I want this to sound as heartless as I mean it. I could not care less about what happens to a child predator in prison. I couldn't. I could not care less. And for Judge Junkin to try to act like Benton is the only person going through this in prison, if this is the standard here, then we got to get everybody out of Alabama State Prison, because anybody that's been there will tell you it's not a good place. Now, how many people do y'all think Judge Junkin has randomly let out of prison that don't look like him? Anybody want to guess? Now, we were not able to locate go through every file and locate all the. We don't know who all he has sent to prison by any means. But I can tell you this, the decently large sample that we took of files, we did not find one that he let out of prison early that didn't look like him. Now, legit, I'm not saying he never has. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm just saying I've not found it yet. I know this is going to shock you all. Quite a few that look like him that he has. Quite a few. Let me tell you the only people that care what happens to child predators in prison. Probably some of their family members. I get that. And other child predators. That's it. Oh, let's continue on with this mess. Several months ago, I learned that Mr. Benton was going to be considered for parole in October of this year. Oh, I forgot they tried to put this spin on it. Shortly after learning that, it became clear that Lee Gwathney, who was then the chair of the parole board, would not be reappointed to that position. This was significant in my mind because although the parole board was under intense pressure to increase the number of defendants being released on parole, Ms. Gwathney was consistent in her denial of granting parole to defendants despite significant public backlash. Faced with a changing parole board and pressure on the board to increase the number of parolees granted, I became concerned that Mr. Benton would be granted parole. Are y'all listening to this bullshit? So we went from, I had to let him out because I felt sorry for him. I mean, he's just dealing with so much horrible stuff in prison because of his TBI. I had to let him out. Now, in the very next paragraph, this fucking idiot is trying to spin this into, well, if I wouldn't have done this, he would have been paroled out and just been out completely free. First off, trust me, when he pulled this mess, we dug and we spoke to sources that were there. Timothy Vest Benton did not have one chance in hell being released on parole. You know who I heard that from? Sources on the fucking parole board. One literally laughed. Other higher up sources said, they're not letting anybody out, much less a child predator. He's completely lying. He made this bullshit up. Again, all this is still completely crazy to me. Let's see, there's another page here somewhere. Department of Corrections into this community without significant restrictions or supervision. I did not then and do not now believe that to be in the best interest of the victims and their families, this community, or Mr. Benton. Did y'all catch that? He says it wouldn't have been in the best interest of Mr. Benton to have been released on parole. So I'm very confused. Is he worried about Mr. Benton or is he not? If you're not keeping up, literally one paragraph, he's extremely worried about Mr. Benton. Next paragraph, can't take a chance on him getting out. He's horrible. Next paragraph, I mean, this is in the best interest of Mr. Benton. Him being paroled out would not have been in the best interest of him. And, you know, Judge Junkin believed in all this mess so much. That's why he contacted all the victims' families before he did it, to get their opinion. Oh, wait, no, he didn't. I would like to find one person who believes this mess. One, just one. Now, if you tell me you do, I can't promise you how I'll talk to you. I'll be respectful to you, but it's probably going to make you feel pretty bad. Accordingly, in order to ensure that Mr. Benton would not be paroled, I made the decision to place him into the Community Corrections Program on house arrest with GPS monitoring. Since he is no longer eligible for parole, he will be required to serve the balance of his 17-year sentence on house arrest and forced to comply with the current restrictions. You know, those tough restrictions like getting to travel to his family's beach house all the time. Set out in my order and any future restrictions imposed by this court, which includes receiving intensive and continual mental health treatment. Nobody gives a shit about his treatment, nor should anyone. There is no treatment for his condition. We know that. People a lot smarter than me have studied that for years. Also, he's trying to make us think here that if he's out on house arrest, that he can't be paroled. Him being out on house arrest literally has zero bearing on him being paroled or not. Judge Junkin himself didn't even put enough thought in this to realize how much bullshit's in here because he was struggling so bad and trying to get something out so quick. Yeah. Much has been made about my decision to allow, wait till y'all hear this excuse, Mr. Benton to travel to the Benton's family home in Gulf Shores. I anticipated a negative response to this ruling, and I believed it would be in the public's best interest and the interest of Mr. Benton as well. This idiot just said he didn't believe it would be in the public's best interest for Benton to be paroled. Now he's saying he believes it would be in the public's best interest for him to be allowed to travel back and forth to his family's beach house. This is so much worse than I remembered. I believed it would be in the public's best interest and in the interest of Mr. Benton as well if the Bentons were allowed to temporarily or even permanently relocate. Well, guess what? Gulf Shores didn't want him, and we made sure that didn't happen. Mr. Benton was never allowed to was never able to travel there because Gulf Shores said, "Nope, you're not coming here," and they made that happen. I can't tell you all the ins and outs of this, but it was immediately discovered that the family's house in Gulf Shores was within 3 miles of a daycare. Therefore, he's not allowed to be there. You know, the judge did so much research into this. So I started getting calls from authorities in Gulf Shores saying, "Got some good news for you. We ain't letting his ass here." Word for word. "Got some good news for you. His ass ain't coming to Gulf Shores." Anyway, let me get back to this. The same house arrest and GPS monitoring restrictions would have applied. In addition, the home's proximity to Mobile would have allowed Mr. Benton additional options to comply with my psychological treatment mandate. However, after the order was entered and a site investigation was completed, it was determined. Oh, he's actually good. It was determined that the home does not comply with the Sex Offender Registration and Community Notification Act regulations and therefore is no longer an option. I like how he is. How does he word this? After the order was entered, again, they did no research on this, and a site investigation was completed, if that's what you want to call it. I call it officials in Gulf Shores said, we're not having the child predator here. They did the site investigation. Judge Junkin had nothing to do with that. I promise you that. I like how he's tried to spin this in here to like they completed some kind of site investigation. If you were going to do that, number one, you would do that before the order. Following the entry of my order, members of the community began to question whether Mr. Benton's placement in community corrections actually disqualified him from being paroled. Oh, he's even got this in here. There was even some suggestion that his placement in community corrections made it more likely that he would be paroled in October. So on August the 25th, I contacted Lee Gwathney to confirm that Mr. Benton was no longer eligible for parole. I generally discussed my order with her, and she directed me to Eric Anderson, Deputy General Counsel for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. Mr. Anderson confirmed that the placement in the community corrections eliminates a defendant's eligibility for parole, and on August the 28th, he sent me an email with the controlling statute. That email was forwarded to the district attorney and defense counsel on the same date. Here's the problem with all that bullshit. It's happened numerous times, and we confirm that. There have been numerous people that were on community corrections and then paroled. So he dug somewhere and found some kind of statute that he claims says is it's not possible. Again, we contacted people ourselves. Judge Junkin never contacted the parole board before any of this. Never once. He did not speak with anybody with the parole board. So his bullshit of, I was afraid he was going to get paroled, again, that's BS. Because as they told us, if he would have contacted us, we'd told him the same thing we're telling you. There's no way in hell he would have gotten paroled. That's what they told him. I recognize the hurt that my decision has caused the victims and their families. This was an incredibly traumatic event in their lives, and it is not lost on me the pain that has resulted from these most recent events. I also recognize this was an unpopular decision in this community, and I have the utmost respect for those who disagree and their reasoning. But this job requires me to consider all the information available to me and make what I consider to be the right decision based on the totality of the circumstances. This is precisely what I tried to do. Mr. Benton's placement in the community corrections program ensured that he would not be released on parole into the general public, but would be confined to a specific place determined by this court and would receive the necessary cognitive and psychological treatment that hopefully prevents this from ever happening again. Did y'all know that? Judge Junkin has found a place that can cure them, that can cure child predators. Hadn't y'all heard about that? It doesn't exist, and we all know that. The amount of bullshit in this is just God, I forgot how bad it was. I know I keep saying that, but Jesus. I believe this to be the best available resolution, and I stand by my decision. You stand by it so much you're recusing yourself from the case. Here's another part I love. This job requires me to consider all the information available to me and make what I consider to be the right decision based on the totality of the circumstances. He did not have a clue of any totality of any circumstances. He didn't look at any information. He did zero research. That's proven in him trying to allow him to go to this house in Gulf Shores that was not compliant. And him saying that he did not speak with the defendant's family at all before making this decision. Here he wants to act like, I sat down, I thought this through, I put all this information together, I researched. No, you didn't. You didn't research anything. You did this in the middle of the night, hoping it would fly under the radar and nobody would find out. That's what you did, you dumbass, corrupt judge. That's what you did. And one day, you're going to have to face the man. And I don't think he's going to be too happy with you. That's not for me to judge, but there's no telling what all you've done in your time as a judge, especially, because there's no way in hell this is the only thing you've done. Probably gets much worse. However, since the entry of this order, I've had significant contact outside of the court with the families of the victims and the defendant, as well as the attorneys appearing on both sides of this case. As a result of this contact, as well as the media attention generated by my order, I am of the opinion that my impartiality could reasonably be called into question, really. Accordingly, pursuant to Canon 3, blah, 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 I hereby recuse myself from the above styled case. Even if this were all true, it proves he's an idiot because he's done everything backwards. Let's say all this was true. Well, he's done everything backwards. He did zero research before. He didn't talk to any of the victims' families before. He wrote the order, put it in place, and then allegedly started doing all this investigation into everything. None of that happened. And again, per Alabama law, the victims were absolutely supposed to be notified before his release, and that did not happen at all. And you know how many people are in trouble over this? Obviously none. None. Nobody's in trouble over this. Oh, this pisses me off all over again. I'm doing another podcast tomorrow just on Judge Junkin, pointing all this dumbass stuff out again. I was hoping I had Hamlin's Facebook comment in this file here, but it must be in the other one. I don't see it. Oh, here's this initial release order that Judge Junkin gave him. As a special condition of the defendant's supervision by the Community Corrections Program, it is hereby ordered as follows. The defendant shall be confined on house arrest at his parents' home on County Road 102 in Fayette County and shall comply with GPS monitoring until further order of the court. The defendant shall be allowed to leave his parents' home to go to the following places only, as if it's not enough. His father's shop at their home on County Road 102, any doctor's appointments, including mental health appointments, his family's home in Gulf Shores. All visits to Gulf Shores must be pre-approved by the court through Jesse Christian, Director of Community Corrections. While in Gulf Shores, the defendant shall be confined to the home. The court has made the Department of Mental Health aware of the defendant's release. So they notified the Department of Mental Health, but not the victims' families. Within 30 days of the defendant's release, he shall be evaluated by the Alabama Department of Mental Health and shall fully comply with any and all recommendations made by the department, including any potential traumatic brain injury rehabilitation services offered by the Alabama Department of Rehabilitative Services. The defendant is strongly advised that any violation of any of these conditions or any standard conditions of community corrections will result in the immediate removal of the defendant from community corrections, and he will be required to serve the balance of his sentence in the Department of Corrections. That has all happened. That has happened. It's in the judge's orders here, and he's not back in the Department of Corrections. Again, something that I can't get anyone to explain to me why it's happening. Because this order is very clear on that. He has now been indicted by the grand jury on it. He's not back in DOC. He is sitting in county jail with a bond right now. All right. I was planning on spending all night on that, but got me fired up again. And we got to. It reminds me that we've got to put more pressure on the state to do something about Judge Junkin. And when him and Andy Hamlin are up for re-election, I've already offered, and I will continue this offer, for anyone that chooses to run against them, I will help you in any and every way I can. I will go knock on doors for you. And y'all can hold me to this. I will go knock on doors for them. I will hold signs for them. I will donate money to them, to their campaign. Anything I can possibly do. It shouldn't even get to that. But we see in Alabama, there's no oversight. There's zero oversight in the state of Alabama. So unless the feds come in and do something, nothing's going to be done. I don't understand it. A sitting circuit court judge blaming a TBI on someone being a child predator. That's something you don't see every day. And apparently there's a cure in Mobile, Alabama. You can't make this BS up. How's the judge able to make medical decisions? He has the power, as he said, to do anything he wants. I mean, that's what he said, and that's the truth. There's zero oversight. Sheriffs in the state of Alabama have zero oversight. None. Circuit court judges, zero oversight. None. District attorneys, zero oversight. None. There is no agency or unit that investigates any of those positions. None. That's how they get away with so much stuff. I don't know what it would take for the feds to look into this. If they would just subpoena Judge Junkin's financial records, I guarantee you could bust this case in a day. I guarantee you that's all it would take. I'm not going to say some of the other things that you could do because I don't want Judge Junkin knowing how they could catch him. He's obviously an idiot. So, but I'm not going to sit here and tell him all the steps. If I was investigating him like that, if I had those subpoena powers and stuff, it wouldn't take me long. It would be very easy to prove that he spoke with the defendant's family, like he says he didn't. And again, they either have something, information that they're blackmailing him with, or there was financial gain and a part of it. One of those. Now, and I have no evidence of which one of those it may be. I just know it's one of those. So I'm not, well, I'll just say it. Judge Junkin, soon after this, bought a brand new Cybertruck. That was brought to my attention. I'm not saying that had anything to do with this. One hell of a coincidence. Except I don't believe in coincidences. I'll say that. Now, I mean, I can't say any good came out of this because that's not the case. But one thing, I'll show y'all this. Let's see. Oh, I bet I got it on my, hold on, I think that was in the files. This is pretty funny. Oh, yeah. I've got a picture of me with this glorious sign. I'll have to dig it up. This is directly across from where Benton lives in Fayette. It's still there. Um, Kyle Key here, awesome guy. Uh, really great guy. Uh, Helped make this happen. And so, got this big billboard literally right across the street from their house. Which this should be a requirement for child predators that are not in jail. They should have to place a big sign like this in front of their house. This is also something once this gig for me actually starts profiting, one of the things that we're going to do is billboards for people like that, and in any circumstances where we can get approval from property owners that live near these child predators, I'm wanting to put up these just like this, possibly even bigger in some places. Because that's great. That's just great. No, William, don't quote some. Yes, there's a couple people in his family that are child predators as well. I want to say his uncle, but don't quote me on that. But there is someone there is some very close family members of Vess Benton that are also child predators. Yes, Melissa, you are correct. We really needed to do that. That gives me an idea, Melissa. I'm gonna see if we can contact some people in Hamilton. If we can get a location, and then I'll get a price on it, and then I don't think it'd be a problem with it. I don't think we would have much of an issue raising money to make that happen because I don't think it would be too expensive. But that's a good idea, Melissa. That just gave me a picture in my head of exactly what I'm seeing, and again, we may not can make it happen because it depends on property owners, but definitely a possibility that I'm going to start digging into ASAP. But yeah, we got to make that happen. Had no idea this case existed. There's a lot of people that don't. One reason I'm going to put some new podcasts out about it now, I'm thinking, because I'm much bigger than I was then. I've got a much larger following than I did then, so that'll get more awareness to it, and we'll just share the heck out of it. And because we need the whole thing with Judge Junkin to get national attention, and that's one of those things. It just takes getting in front of the right person to get tons of attention on it, and then something will be done. And it's ridiculous that is what it takes, but sometimes that is what it takes. And so, and I have a lot of faith in us. But yeah, I'm about to go hard on this again. Reading that stupid recusal letter just fired me up again, all over again. I forgot how bad that was. Yeah, Melissa, we need one in Hamilton. Like I said, obviously the closer to the ramp, the better. But I'll see who we can contact. See if we can get in contact with some people. Because all we need is a location. Because, I mean, we raised like over $300 for the protest in Hamilton for the snacks and waters and stuff. And that was raised that in like 3 or 4 days. So there's no doubt in my mind that we can raise enough money for something like that up there. No doubt in my mind. One more thing I want to talk about tonight that.
Have you guys heard about all this drama with this Alabama?
So those of you that hadn't had a chance, I put out a short podcast, like, I don't know, between 8 and 10 minutes maybe, yesterday. I think it was, yesterday. And we talked about it Monday night on the live as well. But with the Aaron MJ, which is the big TikToker that put out an apology to Brittany Stapleton. And then which is the video I showed Monday night, and I show it in the podcast of her 5-year-old in the background saying horrible things. So if y'all have not had a chance to watch that, as soon as the live's over tonight, go watch that, share it, repost it, like it, comment on it. All that helps push them out to the algorithm. And it's on I posted it on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I got to get it on Spotify soon. Man, have I learned so much more about that girl in a short 24 hours. And my team's going to love this, but I'm just, might as well tell you. All the shit that we have gotten from Brittany Stapleton and everybody else, all the hate, and they spread these ridiculous made-up things and all that stuff, trying to discredit me. It's about to get 10,000 times worse with this girl, because she legit. This girl is a Netflix documentary. I know we say that a lot about things. Dead serious. Netflix documentary waiting to happen. She is crazy as crazy can possibly be. And anyone, if you even look at her wrong, she will attack you I mean, contacting workplaces, schools, friends, like calling them, messaging. I mean, it's all she does all day. So I know I'm already just accepting it's about to start hitting. I think it's already started. I didn't realize how crazy this girl was until today when I learned a lot more. But literally within the past 24 hours, I mean, since I posted the podcast on it, I've noticed a decent amount of my followers messaging me saying they're getting tons of hate stuff. And random people are sending them, all kinds of crazy stories about me. Like today, I heard that I was caught in a hotel with a meth addict. I think that's the first time I've heard that one, but now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe we've heard it before. I know I've heard I was caught drug trafficking before. But anyway, I thought my immediate thought was that's Brittany Stapleton because I started talking about her again. But now knowing what I know, it's probably Aaron, MJ, and her people. And again, it's probably going to get a lot worse. If you follow me, especially those of you that comment a lot on my stuff, you're going to get these messages. Because I've had numerous contact me just today on the amount of stuff they've gotten. I'm telling you, these people will stop at nothing to try to take you down. It's unbelievable, really. But I think all that's about to get much worse. But the more I found out about this girl, we're gonna have to call her out more because she is so much worse than I had a clue. If I can find this video, I'm going to play it. If you thought the video that I showed you from her live, where her 5-year-old was in the background saying what he said, wait till you see this one. Well, and she has at least 2 children, and she does not have custody at all of one of her children. None. Think about this. She has no custody of one of her children, and that same child's father is in prison. So Child Protective Services think so much about her, they wouldn't even give her custody of her own kid, even when father's in prison and he can't have custody of him. That's pretty bad. I don't think I saved this one, so it may take me a second to find it, but I'll find it.
You were fucking your stepbrother.
This is it. I confirmed this today. Somebody sent me this last night, and I confirmed what she's talking about here. This is unbelievably horrible. This is another one of her lives, and she is talking about this girl. This girl was 5 years old. Five years old. And was being SA'd by her older stepbrother, who was, don't quote me on it, I think 12, 13, or 14. 5-year-old girl being SA'd by her older stepbrother. Listen to how Aaron words this. Trigger warning. Very foul language, if that offends you. Also, this is a very sensitive subject. So, trigger warning.
You were fucking your stepbrother. That's why you were put in foster care. And you were in foster care for what, a year and a half until you married Michael? And him being an emancipated adult.
She is talking about a 5-year-old that was being SA'd by her older stepbrother. Which is why they had to put this girl in foster care, to get her away from stepbrother. And Aaron puts it in those words. When I learned this today, this makes me sick. Not surprising whatsoever that she is now really good friends with Brittany Stapleton. You talk about victim blaming. You were effing your stepbrother. That's why they put you in foster care. Unbelievable. Very good question, Melissa. I don't know why TikTok allows her account. They'll kick me off for anything. If you're a female and you show cleavage, TikTok's good with you. That's all I can figure out, because there's numerous ones like that post crazy things and they don't get banned or anything. We've seen 2 screen recordings of seconds apiece from her lives, and both of them are so horrible. I can't even I don't have words for them. I have been sent so much more that I haven't even gotten to watch yet. All the ones I have watched so far, oh my God. This is just a scratch of the surface. I'm going to try to verify tomorrow and confirm this. But unfortunately, what I heard today is because I told you, Child Protective Services was notified of the Roblox video where her 5-year-old says what he says. According to information I learned today, they did nothing about it. I wish I could tell y'all this stuff is the worst things that this Aaron girl has done. It's not even close. Again, I had no idea what I was stepping off into with this. No clue. It gets there's so much more. It gets so much worse. It's Aaron is she's evil, to say the least. I would not believe anything she says. Because all the amount of things that I've seen on her videos that I've already been able to confirm that were just crazy, not true, is shocking. Some of those things she says and she talks about a lot, I'm not going to say are not true because I never want to do that just in case they are. But I would question it if you can read between the lines there. This woman has tried to ruin so many people's lives. And again, when I tell y'all, and I hate to use the word just crazy, I don't know of another word for it. She is as mentally ill as you could possibly be in the way that she does things. Like, she will stop at nothing. The video I showed where I showed it on the live the Monday night that she got 60 million views on TikTok of, where she's sitting there and somebody donated her a large amount of money. She was raising money so she could move back to Oklahoma, which is where her son that she doesn't have custody is. And so she put out this whole sob story about, I'm raising this money so I can move back there and be close to him. Well, we know she raised the money. We saw her reaction, right? And she did. She raised over $5,000. Guess what, though? She never moved. She never moved. So she raised all this money. She's still not anywhere close to her son. She never moved. She used the money for other things. I know that's shocking. Doesn't that sound familiar? You know, there are a lot of people that need help financially and have legitimate reasons that they set up GoFundMe's and things like that. A lot. But unfortunately, there are some that are very good at manipulating and are very good actors and actresses. I will never discourage someone from donating money to someone. but I do want to say, don't just take things at face value. Research a little bit before hearing someone's sob story, seeing one video of someone's sob story, and then immediately going and giving them money. Look into it a little bit. And again, most of the time it's legit. So again, I don't want this to come out as I'm trying to discourage people from donating money to people for things, because again, there's a lot of people that need it, and that's like the last resort, and they don't want to have to be asking for money, but they, hard times, whatever happens. But unfortunately, we also have the Carson Burks and the Aaron MJs of the world. Aaron Michelle, as she calls herself. What's her name? Aaron Michelle. Shit. What's her last name? I've got it somewhere. I'm going to be doing quite a few more podcasts on her. So, but this is another example of someone that's grown an audience on TikTok. She's got over 250,000 followers. And when I tell you she is absolutely nothing like she portrays, that's an understatement. Big understatement. I've already received a lot of information that allege that she is also a predator. Right now, that's completely allegations. I've got to dig and see if we can find any proof of that, but we're going to be digging. But it is very concerning, the information I've gotten so far. But again, just those two videos that we've seen of her is enough for anyone with any sense to go, that she's evil. Like, for someone to make that statement that she made about a little girl being essayed by her older brother. It doesn't get much more evil than that. And this is the same woman that claimed she was apologizing to Brittany Stapleton because she cared about her mental health. This girl doesn't care about anybody. I'm not a psychiatrist. But so I'm not going to say the word, but those people that have zero empathy, that's her. None. Doesn't she still do OF? That I'm not sure of. I don't know about that one. I'm trying to think if I even heard that yet. Kind of, maybe I did, but I have to check into that. Because from what I understand, she is trying to pretend now that she's some born again Christian and she's helping people. Trust me, that is all a blatant lie. I have evidence of that. That woman has not changed for the good at all. Again, and there's so much that I have learned that I got to verify before I can even say it, but no doubt in my mind, a lot of it I'm going to be able to verify, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So, and I doubt she's been called out the way I'm about to. So again, it's probably about to get very, whatever you want to say. I don't know. But it's part of it. I'm used to it. It's not going to shut me up. It hasn't before. It's damn sure not going to start now. They can come at me with whatever they want. People with sense are going to know the things that are not true and the things that are. Plus, all my stuff is very easy to, like, here's the thing. I've said numerous times, because this is another thing that people got sent messages today that, ask him why he was fired from law enforcement. Like, that is very easy for you to prove. All you have to do is FOIA my records from those agencies. In fact, I know for a fact at least one person has FOIA'd those agencies and gotten all of my paperwork, my records from those. It's weird that after they did that, they've not posted anything else. Very strange. Almost as if they thought they were actually going to find something and then they didn't, so they were probably a little discouraged. Anyway, I say all that, just there's no telling what they're going to be saying and sending you in messages, and God knows. But we're ready for it. Like I said, it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. Calling out these people is not the most enjoyable thing at times as far as the backlash, but it's got to be done because this woman is hurting a lot of people. She's doing serious harm to a lot of people. And it's very troubling and concerning to me that she has custody of her other kid. A woman that can say that about a young girl being essayed by her older brother and blame it on the girl, they do not need to have custody of their child. And I don't think anybody could disagree with me on that. What is OF OnlyFans? Distorted Relic, are you on OnlyFans a lot or something? You're like, I know she did at one point. I just don't know if she still does. But no, from what I understand and some of the latest videos I've seen of her, she's trying to portray herself of this, oh, I'm a born again Christian, I'm all for God. And at the exact same time, some of the things she's doing behind the scenes, Jesus. She's definitely another one of those that's claiming she's doing everything in the name of God, and she's a straight up evil person. We've unfortunately been seeing that a lot lately, and that she's definitely a prime example of that. Oh, Distorted Relic, you can be my OnlyFans researcher, so go on there and find out. Because I'm definitely not going to. Not even in the name of research. That's not something I'm ever going to have to explain. Trust me. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's about it. I apologize for all the technical issues in the beginning, but we got through them. Again, if any of you are computer whizzes, seriously, I would love you if you would contact me and let me ask you some questions that apparently I'm doing something wrong, because this freaking computer is about to drive me insane. Distorted Relic, are you telling us to check out your OF? You're saying you have an OF? I'm just messing with her, by the way. I know what she's saying. She was saying that Aaron was posting that. Check out my OF. But all right, hey, I appreciate each and every one of you. I like to have a little more laid back and a little comedy relief on the Wednesday night ones, but that didn't happen tonight. I got too fired up about the Judge Junkin and Benton, and I'm real fired up about this Aaron girl. So unfortunately, that didn't happen tonight, but I appreciate each and every one of you for being on here. I really do. And all I ask you to do is to, again, watch my stuff on all the platforms that you're on. Watch them all the way through. Like them, comment, share them, repost them. All that helps push them out to get more viewers. And that helps every way that it can. It brings more awareness to the stuff we're trying to bring awareness to. And it is better for our finances. So, which are still nowhere close to being good right now, but one day it'll pay off. But that'll come. We don't worry about that. We just do the work and do what we're supposed to be doing, and that'll eventually come. But I appreciate each and every one of you, because I couldn't do any of this by myself. That's for sure. If any of you If any of y'all are interested in, or you know someone that's interested in being a guest on the podcast, go through our website, agentdbaker.com, and there's a button on there. You click, fill it out. It's very simple. If you're interested in me coming to speak at your organization, whatever kind of organization that may be, again, you go through there. There's a place on there for that. And you can find out everything I speak about, all that stuff, topics. It's all that's on the website. So go check that out. I'm wanting to get out more of this studio. So I'm going to try to start promoting my public speaking things again. I enjoy that, number one, and I've put all that to the side for the last at least 6 months. And I'm wanting to get that back up to, again, mainly to get out of this studio a little more often. So I'm going to start promoting that stuff again. So be on the lookout for that. And again, if anyone's interested in your organization having me, just let me know. We'll discuss that. Other than that, if there's anything I can do for any of you, again, go through the website, send us a message on there, and as soon as we can get back to you, we will. I know there's a few, I don't know if any of them are on here, but I know there's a few of you that I promised to make phone calls to the last few days, and I've been so stinking busy I haven't gotten to, but I'm going to try my best to get to some of those tomorrow. I've not forgotten about you. But other than that, I hope y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday night for what's left of it. And great Thursday tomorrow, great rest of your week. I'll see y'all back Friday at 9 p.m. Central, and I'll be back on all the platforms Friday. So don't miss that. We'll have a lot of good, interesting things to talk about. I'll should have another short podcast going out tomorrow on the Timothy Vest Benton. I've finished recording it today. Just got to get it edited. So hopefully we'll get that out tomorrow. And then, like I said, I'll see y'all back Friday, 9 p.m. Central. And share that. As soon as I get the Benton podcast out, y'all try to share that as much as possible. Because, again, going back over this stuff and realizing how bad it was, we've got to get more eyes and attention on that whole situation because it's still going on. They're still sending people to prison that they probably shouldn't and letting people out that they shouldn't. So we just need to bring a lot more awareness to that. What kind of computer issues? So on my desktop, I've added a lot more RAM. But it didn't speed up anything. And I don't understand why. And then I also added 2 more terabytes of storage of the main card, whatever you call it, because my other one was 1 terabyte and it was almost full. And so I thought, well, that's what's making my computer go a little slower now. So I added I bought an entire new card with 2 terabytes, added it, and so I've spent like $1,500 in the last 2 weeks on this computer, adding these better things to it, and we're still having issues. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what the deal is, but that's the issues I'm talking about. And I know a little about computers, and I watch YouTube, and I try to learn from there, but I'm lost on this one because I've done everything that the YouTube says to do, and we're still having some issues, so I don't know what else to do. Windows. It's a Windows desktop, and it's got a really good. I mean, in all, I've put a lot of money into this desktop because I need it for all of this. Because I'm running 4 monitors, but it's got a really good graphics card, all that stuff. I think that's what it's called. But I added 32 more gigabytes of RAM. So I added 2 more RAM cards with 16 gigabytes each. So I have 48 gigabytes of RAM now, but it just doesn't seem to be going. And I have a ton more space on my main card. Still not running the best. So I don't know. Because I really need it for my editing software because I run Adobe. And to run Adobe editing, you got to have, I mean, you have to have a really good desktop for sure. And so, and it's still freezing up on me nonstop when I'm trying to edit. And that's what's really driving me insane. And I thought I had a really good processor on here, but maybe I'll have to add a better one of those. I don't know. I just hate to keep adding stuff if it's still not going to fix it. Because every time I add something, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then there's like literally no change. I'm like, what the heck? So I don't know. But I hope y'all have a good rest of your night. I'll see y'all back Friday, 9 p.m. Central on all the platforms. And I need to run some commercials. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy. I want to put you onto a brand that supports the people who run toward the stuff everyone else runs from. And this is Deemed Fit, built by first responders for first responders, cops, firefighters, EMS, medics, dispatchers, the military, people who move fast and carry weight. Deemed Fit makes gear for that life. Nothing extra, nothing fake. Apparel that works hard and feels right. But here's the part that made me want to work with them: the stigma breaking collection. Every piece carries a message. Are you okay? A simple question that opens doors most people are too afraid to walk through, because in this world, we lose too many of our own to the things nobody talks about. Wearing this line starts the conversation, and a portion of every purchase goes to mental health nonprofits serving first responders and veterans. Now to the gear itself, because I'm not putting my name on something that falls apart. Most gym stuff dies fast, not just the fabric, the fit, the feel, the way it holds up when you're actually pushing. This is built for the opposite of light cardio, extended shifts, strenuous training, the sessions that wreck cheaper gear, reinforced seams that stay put, moisture wicking fabric that works fast, a fit that moves with you, no bunching, no restriction. Training days, off days, it covers it all. This isn't just gym wear. It's stuff you'll actually live in. And I love that they lead with mental strength, not just physical. Their mental health apparel carries a message we all need to hear more often. You are not alone. That's mental toughness with real meaning behind it. Pride, purpose, service, sacrifice, and resilience worn on your chest. Here's how you support it and save. Click the referral link in the comments for 10% off your entire order. Or use my code Derek Baker, all one word, DEREKBAKER, at checkout for 15% off. Hey guys, you all know how health conscious I am. I haven't had a single carbonated drink in over 20 years because I'm extremely careful about what I put into my body. So when I tell you I'm partnering with Dubby, you know it's the real deal. I will never partner with any brand that I don't use myself. Now, Dubby is zero sugar, jitter-free, crash-free, no artificial dyes or colors, none of that garbage. Just clean energy that actually tastes incredible. I've been drinking it every day, and I'm genuinely impressed. If you want to upgrade your energy too, use my code agent D Baker for 10% off. Link in bio. Go be better with me.